Hello and welcome to the special edition of Learn to Ride a Skateboard. You can watch this entire video on the internet, or you can go to learntorideaskateboard.com and purchase a DVD or download the DVD for free. This is chapter 1 of 7.
Hello, this is Eric Muss-Barnes.
And I'm Julie Westfall.
And Julie is the 12th best girl skateboarder in the world right now.
Yes, in bowl, so woohoo.
That's, there is no other skating anyway.
I agree. I have to agree. So.
But she was 5th last year. And yeah, but that's still awesome.
Still like half the season left, so why not?
Yes. And so this video is the special edition of Learn to Ride a Skateboard. Now, I made the original video in 2007, and this is now 4 years later that I'm recording this. This is 2011. And the reason that I'm putting this together is because, like anybody who does a creative sort of project, I found that there were a few things that I was just kind of unhappy with in the original.
Well, I think it's kind of a cool idea to come back and, 4 years later, almost reteach your new way. It's new technique and new finesse as you progress in skateboarding. There's always new ways and easier ways to do things. So it's kind of cool because you can kind of look back on that information you had 4 years ago and then compare it to today and see how much you've grown in skateboarding.
Yeah, and whenever I watched back, the old video, there were a few little pieces that I wish I had explained a little bit more clearly, things that I would have just done different. And so that's what the special edition is really about. So anytime that you see Julie and I just suddenly appear on screen, it's because that's going to be a part where I'm going to explain a little bit more and detail out a little bit more things. So this first part is basically going to talk about all the parts of a skateboard. And the original video, as you will see, was done with Holly Lyons, who at the time was the #1 woman bowl skater in the world. So I hope that you enjoy this special edition of Learn to Ride a Skateboard.
Skateboarding can be very dangerous. If you decide to become a skateboarder, you are definitely going to fall off. You are definitely going to get hurt. You are going to get bruised and bleed a little. No question about it. All skaters do. Some of you might even end up in the hospital. If you have a really terrible fall, you could be crippled or killed. Be careful, be cautious. Always wear all of your safety gear. Don't say we didn't warn you. When you do get hurt, it will be your own fault. No one in this video made you fall off your skateboard. Please, don't try to blame or sue anyone involved in this video. That's lame and pathetic. We are not responsible for your mistakes. You are. So, take responsibility for your own actions. It builds character and self-respect. And you'll have more friends. During your skateboarding, always remember to have fun.
Well, hey there, kids. So you want to learn skateboarding, huh? Alright, well, you've come to the right place. Well, let's start with a brief little history of skateboarding so you know where it all came from. Now, no one really knows when skateboarding began. Why, wooden apple crate scooters were certainly the precursors to skateboarders. Those existed as far back as the 1920s. Who was the first to tear off the crate and just skate on the board? Well, some say the first was a young teenager named Martin McFly in the town square of Hill Valley, California on November 8, 1955. But that's probably not true. No, the world may never know who made the first skateboard, but we do know that the first commercially available skateboards appeared in the 1960s from companies like Hobie and Makaha. In the 1960s, skateboarding grew in popularity with downhill slalom contests featured on television. Then, in the 1970s, Frank Nesworthy invented the urethane skateboard wheel. This made boards a lot more stable and safe, and skateboarding made a huge comeback. Skateboarders such as Tony Alva, Stacy Peralta from the Zephyr skateboarding team in Venice, California, began skating backyard swimming pools and transformed the sport. The first skate parks began to open. Then, in the 1980s, skate videos grew in popularity and allowed skaters to study how tricks were done. Backyard ramps became popular and skaters began street skating on the cement and marble architecture of local cities. In the late 1990s and early 21st century, with the advent of more television coverage and corporate media sponsoring the sport, skate parks once more began to spring up all over the country. Skateboarding has become bigger than ever and only growing more popular by the minute, which leads us up to the skateboarding of today.
All aboard! my dad, well that would rock.
Oh, yeah, I have to. Sorry. Hey, this is Eric, and he's been skating since 1987.
And this is Holly. She is actually a professional skateboarder, has won tons of competitions, and is actually ranked the #1 bowl skater in the world right now. That's pretty impressive.
Thanks, Eric. Is that lame? Shut up! I'm just kidding.
You know, in the winter of 2007, I was at a skate park, and I saw this little kid trying to ride, and his father was trying to teach him how to skate. And it was really obvious from the things that the father was saying that he didn't really know anything about skateboarding. And this poor kid was falling all over the place. And finally the kid looks at me and tells me that he's only been skating for 2 days. And that was one of the inspirations to actually make this video. Because I wanted to help out kids like that who really need to learn the basics before they're trying to skate up transitions.
Definitely. I also have an Ask a Pro page for a skateboard company that I ride for, Cool Girl Skateboards. And I get asked by girls from around the world how to skate, the basics, what to wear, etiquette, I mean everything. They want to learn, they think skateboarding is cool, but they just don't even know where to start. So that's why we're making this video, it's for you.
And another thing about this video is that after I came up with the idea to do it, I came up with what I thought was an even better idea, which is that I wasn't going to sell it. I'm giving the thing away for free. So I'm actually encouraging all of you out there to copy this thing. Make as many copies as you want, give them away to your friends, make more and more copies, and just share it with as many people as you can so everybody can learn how to skate.
How cool is that? Eric's a nice guy.
So this video is broken up into 3 chapters. The first chapter tells you how to put a board together, the second chapter tells you the basics of skating, and the third one tells you about skating in skate parks.
All right, so let's get started.
So let's start with the very first chapter, which is how to put a board together, because obviously you can't ride a skateboard until you have one.
It's really important too to know, like just for your own information, to know what the components are, how to put it together, and then you know what you're riding.
So okay, here we go. We're going to see all the parts of a skateboard laid out. First is, of course, the deck or board. The next part is our grip tape. This is a nice sheet of black, simple, solid grip tape. Grip tape comes in lots of different colors, and you can use your artistic talent and cut out different shapes and sizes. Next up is a set of wheels. Oh, we need four, there's 4. 2 in the front, 2 in the back. After the wheels, we have trucks. Trucks come in a set of 2, so we need a pair of trucks. There we go. After the trucks, we have some riser pads. They come in lots of different sizes. And after the riser pads, we have mounting hardware, which is how you put your skateboard and trucks together. Last but not least, we have our bearings that go in your wheels. And that's all the parts of a board.
Now the board or the deck is the actual wooden platform of the skateboard that you're standing upon. Yeah, decks come in a huge array of shapes and sizes, and they offer different performance characteristics depending upon the style of skating that you'll be doing. Now for this video we'll be talking about pool and street boards, yeah that's right. Now most boards come with 8 holes pre-drilled in them for mounting your trucks. In the front of the board, that's called the nose, and the back is called the tail. Now, both the nose and the tail, as you can see, have a slight little upturn curve to them. And all like really good boards, they have a certain amount of concave shaped into the top of the deck, so they're kind of curved down. And the deeper the concave, the better your feet will stay on the board. Now, many of the kind of cheap boards that you'll find out there, they're really flat, and they don't have any concave at all. Regardless of the size or style of the board, all decks have measurements for the length, which is the nose to the tail, the width, which is the distance from one side to the other, the wheelbase, which is the distance from your front and rear truck bolts, and a measurement for the nose, which is from the front truck bolts to the front of the board, and the tail, which is the rear mounts to the rear of the deck. Most decks are made of 7 layers of cross-grained maple plywood. And this makes boards that are very strong, and very lightweight yet flexible. Now they usually range from 29 to 33 inches in length and 7 to 10 inches wide.
Now for streets and sidewalks, it's popular to use 7 to 8 inch boards, and for skate parks and ramps, best to get a little wider, say 8.5 to 10 inches wide. Now unless you have like really small feet, I wouldn't recommend a board thinner than 8.5 inches wide. I mean, those kind of boards are nicknamed popsicle sticks, and they're really difficult to ride because your foot will simply slip off too easily. You want to make sure you have a nice wide foundation to plant your feet on. Personally, I enjoy riding boards in the 9 to 10 inch wide range. That provides a nice solid area for your feet and makes it a lot harder to fall off.
Grip tape is a specially formulated sandpaper-like material with super strong adhesive on one side. And grip tape, once it gets applied to the top of your deck, it's like a giant sticker. And it's really gritty, which allows your shoes to stay on the top of your deck. There's lots of different brands of grip tape. Some are more rough, some aren't as grippy. But the more grippy it is, the better your feet will stay on your board. They all come in a wide variety of colors and styles, or they'll come in separate panels or pieces. And the really cool thing about grip tape is it allows you to totally customize your skateboard. I mean, people cut grip tape in different patterns, or do them in different cuts and designs, or put pictures or markers or anything you want to do. Don't be one of those skaters that just put solid black grip tape on your skateboard. Be creative and artistic like this. Try things out. Cut out some cool designs. Draw logos of your favorite bands. Really personalize your grip tape. Make it unique. Make it like yourself. You can even draw on your deck or put stickers on it or put clear grip tape on it like this. Give your skateboard some style.
Now we will talk about the wheels. Yes, not wheels. The wheels, what's the matter with you? Wheels, skateboard wheels. Even people who have never touched a skateboard know that skateboards have 4 wheels. Now the wheels are made of polyurethane, also called urethane and nicknamed thanes. And they come in a variety of shapes and colors and diameters and durometers. The durometer of a wheel rates the hardness of the urethane. Now durometers are rated with a numbering system followed by the letter A. The durometer ratings tend to range from about 60 to 100. The lower the number, the softer the wheel. For example, a wheel with an 80A durometer is very soft, and a 97A wheel is a lot harder. Soft wheels grip a lot better, and they're less likely to lose traction. Now, harder wheels are a lot faster, and they don't wear out as quickly. Softer wheels are typically used on rougher terrain, and harder wheels on smoother terrain. The diameter of wheels averages about 55 to 65 millimeters or so. The larger the wheel, the faster it is. Small wheels are more lightweight, but they'll get caught on rocks and cracks and things a lot easier. The width of the wheel is very important too. The skinnier the wheel, the faster it will be. The wider the wheel, the better grip and control you will have. Plus, when you ride skate parks, it'll grip the concrete better and your board will be less likely to slip and slide out from under you. And of course, one of the most important things about wheels is to remember that, say you wake up in the morning and you're all out of cereal. Well, as you can see, wheels are part of a balanced breakfast. You just add milk, and there you go. Your own tasty skateboard wheels. Now those are good wheels.
Every board has a matching pair of trucks. The trucks are what attach the wheels to the board and allow the board to turn. This part of the truck is called the base plate, and that bolts onto the deck. These 2 orange urethane washers are called bushings. Bushings can be replaced and come in a wide range of hardnesses and colors. Softer bushings let your board turn more easily, and harder bushings keep your board more stable. The nut at the end there is called the kingpin, and it's one of the most important part of your trucks. Adjusting the tightness of your kingpin will dramatically change how well your board turns or doesn't turn. Turning it clockwise makes the trucks tighter, and counterclockwise makes them looser so that you can carve and really turn a lot easier. This part of the truck is called the hanger. When you see skaters grind their trucks on curbs, railings, or on coping, the hanger is the part that is doing the grind. Finally, these metal rods molded into the hanger are called the axles. This is where you slip on your wheels and tighten them on with the axle bolts. Note that there are 2 small washers on each axle. One goes on the inside of the wheel and one goes on the outside of the wheel.
I've added this for the special edition where we will actually show you how trucks assemble, and you'll see all the parts and how they go together. It'll be slightly redundant, but you'll have a better understanding of trucks after this. Now this piece right here is called the base plate, and the base plate is the piece that actually bolts to the deck. And the way that that happens is all these little holes right here in the base plate, that's what your mounting hardware goes through in order to attach the trucks and the board together. Now there are two different hole patterns here. This is called the new school pattern, and the outer holes are called the old school pattern. And there are two different patterns because the truck patterns on the decks themselves also changed sometime in the mid-90s to accommodate different skating styles. Now this bolt right here, that's called the kingpin. And the kingpin is basically usually like a grade 8 steel bolt that goes through the base plate, and it's what really holds your trucks together. And it's sort of the cornerstone of your trucks. Now this little plastic piece right here is called a pivot cup, and that's just kind of to provide a more frictionless sort of movement when your trucks are turning, and it goes right there into the base plate. Now this piece right here is called the hanger, and this little piece sticking out right here, this kind of little nipple on the end, that goes right there into the pivot cup. And this hole right here in the hanger, that slips over the kingpin bolt. And this whole piece, as I said, is called the hanger, and this part right here is the piece that's really doing the grinding when you see skaters grinding coping or curbs or things like that. And this piece right here sticking out is called the axle. Now a lot of times people mistakenly call this whole thing the axle, which is not correct. The axle runs all the way through the hanger, but this whole piece right here, that's called the hanger of the trucks. Next up, we have the bushings. This is the bottom bushing, and this right here is the top bushing. And the bushings are little pieces of polyurethane. They're made up of the same material as your skateboard wheels. Just like the skateboard wheels, they come in different hardnesses and different colors, and the hardness of the bushings really determines how smoothly the trucks will turn or how tight the trucks will be. So the bushing slips onto the kingpin, that little nipple piece goes right there into the pivot cup, and as you can see, that hole slips right over the kingpin bolt. And then we take our top bushing. You can see it's shaped a little different. It's got that kind of little angle to it, and it's a little bit smaller. It slips onto the top like so, and this washer actually slips over the kingpin bolt as well. And the washer is really there to provide more even pressure on the bushings themselves. And finally you take this right here, which is the kingpin nut. It's a little bit larger than the axle nuts. It's about 14 millimeters or so. And when you turn it clockwise, it makes your trucks tighter. When you turn it counterclockwise, it makes your trucks looser. So you can really control how easily your skateboard turns. Here you can see the truck's almost fully assembled, and these last pieces right here, these are called speed rings, these little washers. There are 2 speed rings on each axle, 2 on this side, 2 on the other side. And they go on the inside and outside of your wheels, and they are held on by these axle nuts. And the axle nuts are about 13 millimeters, a little bit smaller than the kingpin bolt and the kingpin nuts. And here you can see on the fully assembled truck, we have speed rings and axle nuts as well, and that's all the pieces of a truck.
Trucks come in a variety of widths. How do you know which ones to buy? Well, when your trucks are mounted on your board, the tips of your axles should be flush with the width of your deck. Some brands of trucks are measured in millimeters and others are measured in inches. So make sure that you get trucks that are the correct width for your board. If you lean your board too far when turning, the wheels will rub the deck and slow down or stop your deck. That's called wheel bite, and that's not a good thing. You don't want wheel bite. Your chances of wheel bite can be reduced a lot by using riser pads. They're either plastic or rubberized plates that sit between your deck and trucks. They come in a variety of thicknesses and colors, but the purpose of riser pads is just to reduce wheel bite and give your wheels some more clearance underneath your deck when you're turning. The more clearance that you have, the smoother that your turns will be. 9/16 is the average size, which is really good.
Alright, dude, next up is like the penultimate mounting hardware, like hardware is like really cool because it like lets you attach your like trucks to your board, you know. So there's 8 lock nuts and 8 bolts, and make sure that the hardware that you get is long enough to account for the thickness of your deck and the trucks and the riser pads, because it can be really frustrating to find out you bought the wrong hardware and that it's too long or it's too short or whatever. So personally, I like hardware that has flathead screws. That way, when you bolt them to your board, they'll sit nice and flush with the grip tape without sticking up at all or anything. Kind of like this image right here.
The final part of your skateboard are the bearings. Bearings get inserted into your wheels, and they allow your wheels to spin on the axle of your trucks. The better the quality of the bearings, the farther and faster your skateboard will roll. Bearings come in a variety of ratings, called ABEC ratings. The slowest bearings are ABEC 1, and the best are ABEC 9. The average is about ABEC 5. For a beginner, an average bearing will do just fine. So don't worry too much about your ABEC rating. There's also a brand name of skateboard wheels called ABEC 11. So yeah, don't confuse the brand name of wheels with the rating system of bearings. All skateboard bearings come in sets of 8. You use 2 bearings on each wheel, 1 bearing on the inside of the wheel and 1 bearing on the outside of the wheel. And if you want to know how to put bearings on your wheels, we're going to move on to the next section, and that is how to assemble the skateboard.